Objection! Hello everybody, Zachman18 here. Welcome back to the special DLC case on Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Dual Destinies on the 3DS. This is part number 5, I believe, yes. And we are going to be heading back into court. I think we're going to be finally finishing the case of Orla Shipley, the orca whale. Well, technically it's the case for Sasha Buckler, since Orla's already been proved innocent, at least kind of. But we'll just have to see what happens. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this case so far. I also appreciate all the comments you guys put in the comments below, just for your feedback and what your guys' take on the story is. So it's always cool to see those. What? The ship's doctor and Azura were romantically involved. Well, that's my theory, but I don't actually know if it's really true. Hold on. There we go. Azura would never get involved with that god-awful ship's doctor, but I do admit, they were friends. But would Azura send Dr. Crab videos, I wonder? Videos? What do you mean? Azura used to send her boyfriend videos of herself teaching the orca tricks. I used to help Azura take the videos on her TV phone. This is an interesting bit of information. Okay. So TV phones can shoot videos too, huh? My dumb phone sure can't. These TV phones are amazing. They can even record sounds you and I can't hear. All the equipment we use at Ship Shape Aquarium is high-tech. The ship's doctor sends away for all kinds of electronics. So all the high-tech stuff is Dr. Crab's doing, huh? Anyway, I still highly trout Azura's boyfriend was the ship's doctor, but Dr. Crab found a charm yesterday, and he was really shaken by it. Charm. Hey, leave that alone. That belonged to Azura. What was Azura's charm doing in Rifle's stomach? That charm looked just like your keepsake of Azura. By the way, I did get a comment also yesterday of somebody saying about my my Dr. Crab voice going from British to like Dr. Means. I'm terrible at voicing, so yeah. Yeah, well, she did say she and her boyfriend had matching charms. Was the ship's doctor and Azura really a couple? I can't believe it. I think Dr. Crab will be called as a witness today. There are still so many unanswered questions, but I hope to solve them all in today's trial. I believe in you too. I know you can do it. And we will, Sasha, we promise. Vámonos. God, I need a new chair. This one hurts. Day 2. Court is now in session. All rise. Court is now in session for the trial of Sasha Buckler. The defense is ready. God, ready. Now I'm completely thrown off. Very good. It appears both the prosecution and the defense are ready. Yesterday it was proven that the orca was not guilty and that the victim fell to his death. Prosecutor Blackwell, did your investigation of the orca pool area turn up anything? It did. We found a blood stain from the victim at the bottom of the pool. On this. Oh my, what a frightening looking rock. And you say it has a blood stain on it? Just looking at it gives me the willies. So can we assume that there was no water in the pool at the time of the incident? Very good. What a clever little deduction. Oh, well, it's nice to get a compliment from the prosecution for a change. Prosecutor Blackwell has completely tamed the judge with his carrot and stick approach. I guess I should have brought a few carrots of my own. Right, moving along. I had prepared a witness. Buckler was the only one who entered that room when there was no water in the pool. The witness will prove that. Come to the stand, witness. There he is. Name and occupation. Dr. Herman Crab. Beep, beep. Sniper. Sniper, stay in there. And who is that cute little creature? Such a restless bird, quite unlike Taka. Wow, chalk one up for Taka. He shut Sniper up with a single sound. Son of a gun. Dr. Herman Crab, Shipshape Aquarium's veterinarian. And could you tell us the name of your cute little friend there as well? Your Honor, please focus on the case. But it's important to learn all we can about the witness. This is Sniper. Beep, 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 beep. She's the offspring of a penguin named Rifle. Sniper lives in my hair. She might cause a commotion now and then, but please try to ignore her. I was originally going to call the animal keeper to the stand, but he refused to testify, so I settled on the veterinarian. Oh, wow. Now tell us, why was the defendant in the orca pool room when the water was drained? In the early morning hours of July 20th, Sasha was cleaning the orca pool room. Sasha and Jack Shipley, the owner, were scheduled to do the cleaning together. During cleaning, the pool water is drained. While the cleaning was going on, Marlon was taking care of the orca in the show pool. The pool water would never be drained unless the pool was being cleaned. And your claim is that the victim was made to fall to his death during the cleaning? Only Buckler and the owner had the security card necessary to enter the orca pool room, and we already know from the security company's record of card usage that the defendant was in the orca pool room during the time of cleaning. The witness's testimony and the record of security card usage are conclusive evidence. So no one beside the defendant was at the scene and the water in the pool was drained? Uh-oh. The judge already seems to be leaning toward the other side. We have to strike fast. Your Honor, we're ready for our cross-examination now. Oh, yes, of course. Please proceed then. The power of youth comes in handy at times like these. Alright. So let's see if we can try to get more information out of him by just pressing the last statement here. So I feel like there's more to this. The water would never be drained unless the pool was being cleaned. But it wasn't clean, was it? There's no possibility it would be drained at any time other than during cleaning? None. Shot down with a single word. Why are you so certain? Think about it. If the pool water were drained, what would happen to the orca? The poor thing! Whose side are you on, Athena? Exactly, young lady. Without water, Orla would be all right for a short period of time. But anything longer than that would pose serious risks. She could even die. So the fact that Orla is alive and well is proof that water wasn't drained on her. That's right. The orca pool and the show stage pool are next door to each other. A hoist runs between the two to move the orca and equipment back and forth. When intensive cleaning is done, the orca is moved to the show stage pool first. So the water is only drained while the pool is being cleaned. Please add that information to your testimony. If there were no water in the pool, the orca could die. Oh, shoot. Dang it. I didn't mean to press that. I wanted to press court record. Yeah. I didn't even pay attention to that last statement there. If there were no water in the pool, the orca could die. Well, he was on the bottom of the pool and he didn't die, so there's your contradiction right there. Objection! If the water in the pool is drained, you say the orca could die. But is that necessarily true? What are you talking about? There is a way to let the water out without harming the orca, isn't there? Your Honor, please allow me to submit this photograph. Oh, this is... As you can see, there is no water around the Skull Rock area. With the pool in this state, the victim could have been made to fall to his death. However, there is water on the other side of the partition, and Orla looks just fine. Son of a gun. In other words, if the partition is set up at the bottom of the pool, the water can be drained without doing Orla any harm. Are you implying the water could have been drained at a time other than during cleaning? Yes, there is that possibility. Dr. Crab is shaking. Looks like he has something to hide. Could it have something to do with the calendar note about meeting with the victim? It might. I'll submit it to the judge. Your Honor, please take a look at this calendar. Oh, you waved that around in court yesterday. No need to drag out your souvenir today. Actually, I would like you to make note of the entry for the day of the incident. Let me see here. Meet the captain at the orca pool at 7 a.m. Let's notice about a meeting planned with the victim. What? The defense would like to argue that at the time of the meeting, the pool may have been drained of its water. Whose calendar is that? It belongs to Dr. Herman Crab. Isn't that right, Dr. Crab? Son of a gun. So you suspect me, do you? What is the meaning of this calendar entry, Dr. Crab? Explain yourself. Fine, I was supposed to meet Jack at the Orca pool at that time, but I ended up not going. So you're saying you simply broke your promise. You can't get out of it that easily. I believe you have some explaining to do.
Objection!
Your blade is sharper than I thought, Wright Dono, but your cut was shallow, a mere surface scratch. There's a saying amongst prisoners, do not see, hear, nor speak to smooth-talking lawyers. If you think the witness is suspicious, show your proof. The calendar alone isn't good enough, huh? I have to prove the victim could have fallen to his death at that 7 a.m. meeting time. Let's put our heads together, boss. The victim could have fallen during the cleaning when the pool was completely drained. Or using the partition, it could have been at 7 a.m. with the water partially drained. What would be the major difference in circumstance between these two possibilities? What circumstance was different? The answer could really tell us something. What circumstance was different between the two possibilities of cleaning at 7 a.m.? The pool was half filled, the Orca was there, the time of day was different. So the cleaning... How long is Orla around in the pool? Is there a guideline thing? See, that doesn't make sense for me. If the murder occurred at a time other than during cleaning, the Orca must have been there. Oh, you're right. And that would mean that Orla witnessed the murder. What's this? You're sheathing your sword so soon? Stop yammering to each other and show me how you wield your sword. Alright then, my sword is poised and ready. If the murder was committed at a time other than during cleaning time, then Orla must have been present at the scene. If I can prove that the murder happened right in front of Orla, then I can prove that Miss Buckler is not guilty.
Order! Order in the court! Mr. Wright, are you implying that the Orca was a witness to the crime?
That is exactly what I'm implying. And how do you intend to prove the Orca witnessed the murder? What are you going to do? Put the Orca on the stand and cross-examine her? This is a critical point. I better think about it carefully. The defense will cross-examine Orla, continue with Crab, or present evidence. Let's see what else we have in our evidence. The defense will present evidence. Evidence that will prove Orla witnessed the murder.
You're going to present evidence? Knowing the defense, I thought surely you would try to cross-examine the Orca. I must say I'm a little disappointed.
Gee, sorry to get your hopes up, Your Honor.
Very well, let's see this evidence then. What evidence shows that the murder took place right in front of the Orca?
Orla was in the bottom of the pool at the time. The cushions of the bloodstains detected with luminol are sketched in. Take that! This photo indicates where we discovered luminol reactions yesterday. By accident, we got some of the luminol testing fluid on Orla. We were then very surprised to see luminol reactions on Orla's body. So what of it? There's nothing odd about that. As was discussed in yesterday's trial, the Orca was bleeding. Traces of the Orca's blood were also found in the skull rock. The Orca must have injured herself when she ran the rock. So that cloud of blood Mr. Plume saw was from Orla headbutting the skull rock, was it? Those luminol reactions you saw in the Orca are most likely from her headbutting.
Objection!
But what's odd is the position of those bloodstains. Please take a good look at the photograph. Yesterday, Mr. Plume said the blood disappeared when Orla put on the hat. That testimony indicated that Orla's injuries were under the hat area. However, these luminol reactions are in two entirely separate areas from her injuries. These bloodstains can't be Orla's own blood from when she was headbutting.
Then where did the blood come from?
It's my firm belief that it's the victim's blood. The victim was killed right in front of Orla. And the victim's blood splattered onto Orla's body. Now it finally all makes sense. Orla was a witness to the murder, so that's why. Orla! Boss, something's wrong with Orla! What? You're right. She's listless and she's sinking. There's one more fact that indicates Orla was a witness to the murder.
There's more?
The culprit was afraid Orla could somehow reveal what she witnessed. And that's why they did what they did. It's the only thing that makes sense. I have to present that evidence. That evidence that proves the culprit thought Orla was a dangerous witness. What kind of weapons do we have in here? Skull rock. Well, he slammed into that. That was found in the pool. Oh, that's right, the sleeping pill. Take that! The defense would like to submit this evidence.
What's this? It looks like it's some sort of medicine.
It's a sleeping drug, Your Honor. A very powerful one. This sleeping drug was discovered in Orla's stomach yesterday. The culprit tried to drown Orla by putting her into a deep sleep.
Tried to drown the orca, but why?
Right, Dono. Are you trying to tell this court that the perpetrator tried to kill the orca off to prevent a witness from talking? Do you really expect me to defeat me with that feeble attack? My sword has been drawn. I'm not about to sheath my evidence now. Orcas have an enormous potential for intelligence. The possibility that Orla could somehow manage to reveal the truth can't be denied. The culprit believed in this possibility, and that's why they tried to kill her. Dr. Herman Crab, you purchased this sleeping drug, didn't you?
What? Does this mean the veterinarian tried to do away with the orca?
Who but a veterinarian would better know how to disguise an orca's death? He could even prevent the police from examining Orla's body.
Why, you? Are you actually accusing me of trying to murder the orca? How dare you? How dare you slander the noble profession of veterinarian?
Ah!
Ah! My goodness, one could cut the tension in this courtroom with a knife.
Oh my god.
Yes, I admit to purchasing that sleeping drug. However, it was subsequently stolen from my lab.
That's such a flimsy excuse.
It's the truth. What else can I say? Any one of the crew members could have entered my lab?
I guess that weakens my evidence quite a bit.
Besides, think about it for a minute. Who was it that treated Orla after she swallowed the drug? It was I.
But as I recall, it took you quite a while to give that treatment. You didn't even come on your own. We had to go get you.
Son of a gun. You just remember all sorts of little details, don't you, Mr. Lawyer? The orca pool and the lab are far apart. It's little wonder he didn't know Orla's condition.
Didn't know? That's highly doubtful. As far apart as they were, Dr. Crab still had a way to know all about Orla's condition. The defense would like to submit evidence that the witness knew about Orla's condition. So what do we have of his? Oh, here we go. The torpedo data shows that Rifle ate around 4 a.m., but Orla didn't eat anything. Take that! The torpedo.
Gah, you just had to bring that up, didn't you?
With this advanced data system, surely you would have known Orla's condition.
Objection!
Wait just 1 minute. What is this torpedo?
Dr. Crab, how dare you bring a weapon of mass destruction into my courtroom?
The torpedo, or Tele-Observation Real-Time Pertinent Data Organizer, is a data system. Until yesterday, only Dr. Crab and Mr. Shipley knew about the torpedo. It isn't legally approved in this country, so it was kept secret from the police.
It's illegal? Dr. Crab, I demand an explanation.
Son of a gun. You and your big mouth, Mr. Lawyer. Yes, it's true. I'm using an illegal system to monitor the creatures of the aquarium. The system uses sensors like these, and yes, there's one in the orca pool, too. These sensors send sound waves through the water to gather data on the creatures. If we find some abnormalities in their condition, the torpedo alerts me with a sound.
Oh my goodness, how very high-tech. But if it's illegal, I will not turn a blind eye. This matter will be appropriately dealt with at a separate time. Now then, Mr. Wright, please continue.
With the torpedo, I'm sure Dr. Crab noticed the danger Orla was in, but he made no attempt to come to her aid on his own. And the reason for that is that Dr. Crab wanted Orla dead.
The torpedo didn't give me a warning message. That's why I didn't know there was anything wrong with Orla. The sensor in the orca pool wasn't working during the police's investigation.
Objection!
Can you prove that statement?
Objection!
What's with him? I guess this is all so high-tech for Prosecutor Blackwell that it's making him a little funny. Funny? Yes, I find this all very funny. Witness, those sensors send sound waves through the water, correct? But what if there isn't any water? Then they wouldn't work. They would automatically switch off. I see. And where is the sensor and the orca pool located? I don't know. Jack is the one who attached it for me. You don't know? Then I will tell you. The police found a sensor just like the one you just showed us. They found it attached to the table at the bottom of the pool. Table? Do you mean the table in this photograph? That's right. Don't you get it yet, right, Dono? The table is on the Skull Rock side of the partition. It's affixed to the bottom of the pool and can't be moved.
Oh, and so if the water was drained from the Skull Rock side of the pool?
Precisely. Without water, the torpedo sensor would not work. Witness, when did that sensor automatically switch off?
Hang on, I'll look it up.
The only times lately were during cleaning 2 days ago and the investigation yesterday. Of course, I knew the pool would be drained while they cleaned it. But I had no idea they drained it for their investigation. No one let me know. That's why I didn't know about Orla's condition yesterday. So Dr. Crab really did want to save Orla. Heh. Did you hear that right, Dono? Yes, the water can be drained without harm to the orca if the partition is used. But if the water is drained from the Skull Rock side, the sensor turns itself off. If the sensor was always on except for during the cleaning and the investigation, it means there must have been water in the pool at all other times. It was never drained. In other words, no one but the defendant could have committed the crime. Ah!
Order! Order in the court! This completely shatters the defense's argument.
But the fact still remains that Orla was nearly killed with Dr. Crab's sleeping drug.
Objection!
But aren't you forgetting one important question? When was the sleeping drug given to the orca? You're right. That hasn't been discussed yet, has it? The orca pool is the scene of the murder. The police were there all day yesterday. The only way to get the drug to the orca undetected is to put it in her food. Yesterday, someone gave the orca food during the trial.
Someone did? I'm afraid I don't remember that.
You don't remember? You're not that old yet, are you? It was the defendant, Sasha Buckler. Ah!
So that is the orca that stands accused, is it?
Aw, she's waving her flipper at us. Maybe she's cheering us on. Orla, wish Phoenix and Athena luck.
So your argument is that Miss Buckler is the one who gave the orca the drug?
The prosecution's argument hasn't changed. Buckler made the victim follow his death and then manipulated the orca dependent on her. Still not satisfied, she further planned to kill the orca with a sleeping drug. I didn't hear any reports of Dr. Crab feeding Orla. Maybe he didn't have a hand in Orla's attempted murder after all. But is there anybody else who could have fed Orla besides Sasha?
If it's true the defendant is the one who fed the sleeping drug to the orca, then that places even more suspicion on her than ever.
Objection!
The defense objects to the prosecution's claims. Well, you still haven't admitted defeat. Prosecutor Blackwell, I don't appreciate the way you only mention the parts that are convenient for you.
What do you mean by that, Mr. Wright?
The prosecutor failed to mention that Miss Buckler wasn't the only one who fed Orla. As you will all recall, there was another person who gave Orla food. Oh, you mean that person? Looks like Athena remembers now, too. Must have been Marlon. Congrats, Sasha. This is to celebrate. Eat it all up. Okay, yeah, that was him, Marlon. Oh, Mr. Wright, no! I don't want to believe it, either, but we can't ignore the truth. The other person who fed Orla during the trial was Marlin. Take that! Please recall when Orla was found not guilty yesterday, Marlin Rhymes gave the orca a large quantity of food. If the sleeping drug was mixed in with that food, it could be given to the orca without arousing police suspicion.
Now that you mention it, I do remember that flip-flopper feeding the orca.
Objection!
So you remembered, did you? I see the time for a true sword fight has come. I call Marlin Rhymes to the stand.
Mr. Lawyer, both Miss Orca Lover and Marlin Rhymes are important members of our crew. I don't want to suspect either of them, but I'm ready to accept whatever truth you find. Here, take this.
That charm. It's the charm that matches the one Azura Summers had, isn't it? So you and Miss Summers were romantically involved, weren't you, Miss Dr. Crab?
What? No, of course not. Sorry to disappoint you, but this doesn't belong to me. At the time I thought it was Azura, so I grabbed it. But it wasn't hers. Now it's up to you, Mr. Lawyer, to figure out whose charm it is.
I will. Thank you, Dr. Crab.
After all, I'm interested in the outcome of this trial, too. Now then, please summon Marlin Rhymes to the witness stand.
What's going on? What's everybody making that face for? I haven't been watching the trial and nobody's told me anything.
Marlin Rhymes, you are under a suspicion for the attempted murder of the orca.
I see. Well, if it's already out... Mr. Rhymes, is he really going to admit it? Fine, I'll tell the truth. Here we go. Sasha's lying to protect that orca. At 3:30 a.m. on the 20th, there was still water in the orca pool. The incident happened before the orca was moved to the show pool. Orla killed the captain by bashing him 30 feet high and making him slam down on the water. So I thought the orca should pay the consequences. When did I ever hear him launching him at 30 feet high?
Now we're back to the orca again?
I did not see that testimony coming. Now wait just 1 minute. Yesterday Orla was proven innocent. Besides, you said Orla was in the show pool during the cleaning. I didn't want to sell Sasha out. That's why I didn't tell the truth. But the fact is, all three of us, Sasha, the captain, and me, were cleaning the pool room. But Dr. Crab and Miss Buckler both said you were at the show stage. Well, the only thing Dr. Crab knew about the cleaning was what I told him. I didn't give him a whole lot of details either. Maybe he misunderstood. And Sasha is lying to protect the orca. She can't tell the truth. Sasha put blood on the skull rock herself to make a fake blood stain. I think it's pretty brave of her to let herself get arrested to protect the orca. Mr. Rhymes, how can you lie like that?
It's the truth. Besides, wouldn't it be better for you if I wasn't lying? If the orca did it, you win your case.
What?
This is all very hard to believe. But if Mr. Rhymes' story is true, Miss Buckler would be innocent and the orca would be the killer.
Meaning, if we turned our backs on Orla, we could save Sasha. Having a witness lie to save your own client. What a dirty, underhanded tactic, right, Donor? Yesterday, the defense proved Orla was not guilty. We have no intention of going back on our assertions now. What do you say, Mr. Wright? All you gotta do is admit the orca did it and Sasha goes free. Isn't a lawyer supposed to act in this client's best interest? But that wouldn't be acting in her interest. Miss Buckler believes Orla is innocent, and we of course believe that Miss Buckler herself is innocent too. Acting in the client's best interest is an important part of our job as lawyers. Using dirty means to win a verdict would destroy our client's faith in us. That's right. We believe in both Miss Buckler's and Orla's innocence. Huh? I just don't understand how you can treat a human and an orca equally. Sasha or the orca, you can only save one of them. I don't know about that. I think I could save them both. All I have to do is disprove your testimony. Oh yeah? Then go ahead and try. I will do just that. If I can't tear down his testimony, I won't be able to save both of them. I have to find a weak spot and start tearing. I think I found one. I don't remember them ever mentioning that he was launched 30 feet high in the air by Orla. Here we go. So what do we got? Wait, let me go back. The documents. Here we go. Shipper's walkie-talkie been found. Cause of death: contusion from head trauma. Thought to be from 65-foot fall into pool. Post all over. Ceiling to pool bottom is 100 feet. Below to head. So that just doesn't match up. Objection! When lies are piled on top of each other, contradictions start to emerge. This time is no different. Are you saying there's some kind of inconsistency in my testimony? That's exactly what I'm saying. You claim that the victim was sent flying about 30 feet into the air. But the autopsy report states the cause of death was thought to be from a 65-foot fall. What? Additionally, in your testimony a moment ago, you said at 3:30 a.m. on the 20th there was still water in the Orca pool. The pool is about 65 feet deep and there's about 30 feet between the water and ceiling. If the pool was full of water as you claimed, it would be impossible for the victim to fall about 65 feet deep, as the autopsy states. Ah! Mr. Rhymes claimed he was in the Orca pool room so he could make these statements, but the truth must be he was at the show stage just as Dr. Crab and Sasha testified. I believe that brings us back around to the Orca didn't do it. I didn't believe the witness's testimony from the outset. I am grateful to you, Wright Dono, for shutting the witness up, as I thought the only person who could have killed the victim is Sasha Buckley. Buckley. That fact still remains whether the witness was the one who tried to kill the Orca or not. Son of a... Mr. Rhymes was right about one thing. His testimony was advantageous to our case, but pointing out the contradiction in his statement will only drive us into a corner. Oh, let me switch.
As Prosecutor Blackwell said, suspicion against Miss Buckler is now deepened.
Uh-oh. If I don't do something fast, the judge is going to find Sasha guilty. Mr. Wright, isn't there anything we can do? There has to be a way to prove Sasha is innocent.
At a time like this, the thing to do is turn my thinking around. Instead of trying to prove that Sasha couldn't have done it, I have to think about what made it possible for somebody else to have done it. As long as the crime scene is the Orca pool room, then Sasha is the only one who could have committed the crime. No need for pity or baldness. Just finish him off with a swift verdict. It appears the defense has no objections. Very well. I will give my verdict. Your Honor, please hold off on that verdict. Well, you work so quiet, Mr. Wright. Do you have something to say now? The defense has a counter-argument. You do? Pitiful. Such desperation. You look pale. Are you sure you're prepared to make this counter-argument? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets. I'll never forget those words no matter how many years go by. Even though it's probably just a bluff, I'll give it to them with a smile. What if the scene of the crime was somewhere else? The scene of the crime? Somewhere else? What? You're finding fault with the police investigation now? As I understand it, the prosecution's argument is as follows. The scene of the crime was the Orca pool room. Only the defendant and victim entered that room when there was no water in the pool. Therefore, only the defendant could have committed the crime. That is correct. But if the scene of the crime was not the Orca pool room, then somebody other than the defendant could have committed the crime. Are you sure you know where you're going with this? I might not be too sure, but I can't back down now. Mr. Wright, I hope that I'm wrong, but this isn't one of your bluffs by any chance. Of course not. The judge knows me far too well. And do you have a theory on where the actual scene of the crime was? Yes, of course. Think, Phoenix, think. Think of a place other than the Orca pool room where one could fall to one's death. And by all means, please share your theory with the court. Where was the real scene of the murder? The Orca pool or the show pool? Well, the only other thing besides the Orca pool on here is the show pool. Take that! The show stage pool might have been drained of water at some point as well. And if so, it would be just as possible to fall to one's death there as the Orca pool. Right, Dono. What you're doing is a disgrace to your profession. I sincerely hope you have some basis for what you're suggesting.
Of course I do.
I will, as soon as I think of something. The victim's body was found in the Orca pool. How do you explain that?
Objection!
How about if after the victim was killed in the show stage pool, his body was moved to the Orca pool?
How about if... What kind of presentation of your argument is that? You had better have a reasonable explanation of how the body was moved.
There's no turning back now. I have to think of a way the body could have been moved. Was there something at the scene that could have been used to move the body? Well, we do have Mr. Crane up here that they could have used. My cursor right on it. Take that! The hoist runs between the Orca pool room and the show stage. The stretcher can be hung from the hoist to move things like Orla or the Skull Rock. The stretcher could also have been used to move the dead body.
Yes, if the stretcher can move the Orca or the Skull Rock, it seems likely it could also move a dead body as well.
Wow, somehow that worked. I just might be able to pull this off. If the show pool was the scene of the crime, somebody else could have done it.
Objection!
You desperately spew conjecture and naive and make up a crime scene.
There you go. Ah!
Ah!
Not again!
You don't have the soul of a warrior. You don't deserve to be on the battlefield. And even your fabrication is half-baked. It's a disgrace.
What do you mean, half-baked?
The hoist can be operated from the Orca pool room only.
Ah!
And the only person who entered the Orca pool room was the defendant. So even if the body was moved, the only one who could have moved it was the defendant herself.
Ah!
Order! So it comes back to the defendant no matter which pool it was.
Meaning, I can't clear Sasha either way? Sasha said she moved Orla in the Skull Rock, and I believe her. So could it be possible that she moved the body herself without being aware of it?
Mr. Wright, do you have an objection to Prosecutor Blackwell's claim?
Do I have an objection to the claim that the defendant moved the body? Well, how could it have ended up in the Orca room if it was if the show pool was the crime scene? I have no objections. Miss Buckler must have been the one who moved the body.
What? Mr. Wright, are you admitting the defendant committed the murder?
No. I'm simply conceding that she was the only one who could have moved the body. However, I contend Miss Buckler was not aware that is what she was doing. The culprit made her move it unbeknownst to her.
The defendant moved a dead body without recognizing that it was a dead body? How could that be possible?
The body was found in the Orca pool. It must have been moved there somehow. I might find some kind of hint in the things she moved with the stretcher. The culprit made Miss Buckler move the body along with this piece of evidence. Let's see. Orla had blood on her, and so did the Skull Rock. Take that!
The Skull Rock?
Miss Buckler told me yesterday that she moved the Skull Rock when she was cleaning. The only two things Miss Buckler moved to the Orca pool are Orla and the Skull Rock. I would like to suggest that the victim's body may have been inside the Skull Rock.
What?
Hidden inside the rock, the body could have been moved to the Orca pool with the hoist. At the show stage, Marlon Rhymes loaded up the Skull Rock with the body inside, and then he used the walkie-talkie to let Miss Buckler know the rock was loaded. Miss Buckler operated the hoist in the Orca pool room and moved the stretcher. She moved the rock without knowing the body was inside.
You really think there's enough space inside the Skull Rock to place a body?
The swashbuckler flyer indicates it could be possible. Please focus on the question at the bottom left.
Oh, it says who will obtain the gold coins hidden in the Skull Rock. In that case, I suppose the rock is most likely hollow.
What's more, if the body was inside the Skull Rock, it explains the remaining unanswered questions.
Such as?
Please take a look at the security footage of the scene Mr. Plume witnessed. Where did the body that Mr. Plume saw come from? Please recall, what was Orla doing to the skull rock at this time? She was headbutting it. Oh. That's right. Orla's ramming released the body from the skull rock. The body had been placed inside the skull rock and moved there from the show stage. I assert that the real murder scene was in fact the show stage pool!
Silence!
What rubbish is this now? You don't have a single scrap of evidence.
Objection!
It's easy enough to verify what I say. Take a look inside the skull rock for yourself. You should find some kind of proof that the body was there. Blood, fibers, hair?
Right, don't know.
Mr. Wright, that was incredible. You turned things completely around. And to think it all started with that half-baked bluff, too. Whew, that was a close one. Did you really have to add that last bit? If the murder took place at the show stage, then who was the perpetrator? It is naturally the person who was at the show stage. Oops, sorry. Mr. Rhymes, weren't you the one who loaded the skull rock onto the stretcher at the show stage?
Well, Mr. Wright, that was some pretty smart brain work you did there. To be honest, I never thought you could figure it out. I tried to protect myself, but I guess it came back to bite me.
Are you confessing you gave false testimony before, Mr. Rhymes? That's perjury.
Yeah, what Mr. Wright says is true. The body was inside the skull rock, and it's true the captain was killed in the show pool too.
What? He's admitting it that easily?
This time, I'm gonna tell you the whole truth about what happened that day.
There you go. Alright.
In the show pool, the orca shot the captain up into the air. Then the captain came down and slammed into the water. I can still remember the spectators' screams clearly. All Sasha did was move the body. She was trying to protect the orca. When Mr. Plume witnessed the orca finding the body, I freaked.
So now we're back to the orca again, I see.
If you were going to give testimony like that, why did I bother putting you on the stand?
All I'm doing is telling the truth. That day, Sasha wanted to do the old version of the Swashbuckler Spectacular, so I suggested that she hide the body in the skull rock and move it to the orca pool. I was going to figure out what to do with the body after the show was over. The orca is the one that killed the captain. It wasn't me and it wasn't Sasha.
So it was Mr. Rhymes' idea to hide the body in the skull rock. But if Mr. Rhymes is the culprit, why would he protect Sasha? False charges against Sasha would mean he himself would escape suspicion. So why?
Mr. Wright, how about if you leave this to me?
Athena, do you mean you heard something?
Yep, noise, discord in Mr. Rhymes' heart.
So that means somewhere in his testimony there's an inconsistency in his emotions.
Alright, Athena, give him a good counseling session. You got it, boss.
Here we go.
Huh? What's this?
What are you getting, Athena?
This testimony is pretty complex. Feelings of deep sadness and intense anger are being called up. Those two emotions appear to be running out of control.
Out of control emotions? Is that going to be a problem?
We'll have to probe their cause if we want to get to his true emotions and testimony.
Okay.
There might even be odd or unnatural spots in his testimony he isn't even aware of.
Alright, let's probe the cause of his out-of-control emotions then.
I'll explain how to probe. Let's find the root cause together. When you see something off in a statement, tap the probe button. Next, point to what's causing Mr. Rhymes' out-of-control emotions. Finally, tap probe to complete the process. When emotions are out of control, memories can be recalled incorrectly. If you still haven't found anything after all the statements and images, I'll help.
Great. Alright, I'll get started comparing the statements with the images. Alright. Let's find something we can probe. Okay. So we're out of control, sadness, and anger. And the show pulls the orca shot the captain up into the air. Okay, nothing in there seems bad. And the captain came down and slammed into the water. I can still remember the spectators' screams clearly. Why does it look like the audience isn't even screaming at all? Got it! I doubt there were any spectators there at the show stage when the owner died.
If there had been, those witnesses would have told us the true crime scene right away. I don't think they would have done an actual show, and then people would probably automatically call the police if it wasn't found in the show in the orca pool. What? Oh, right. Of course. I just made a mistake. Alright. Okay, that made the sadness subside. So maybe the spectators part was what was making him sad. I wonder why you would make that mistake saying spectators were there. How strange. The only thing I can think of is that he was mixing up one memory with another. Like, he was in a similar situation before, and it was deeply imprinted on his heart. A situation where an orca killed somebody and there were spectators there? Hey, I think I know why he's mixing up his memories. The reason why Mr. Rhymes mixed up his memories is... Charm, no. Ladder prints, no. Handmade sign, no. Bottom photo, Skull Rock, the killer whale, the Norman... Oh, the case from last year! Take that! Mr. Rhymes, I think I know what happened. Could you have been mixing up what happened a year ago with this incident? Maybe that's why you slipped and said the owner was killed in front of spectators. What? How did you... You're right. I did see the orca kill somebody a year ago. But what about it? I was just one of the spectators. Really? Just another spectator? There must be a reason why you feel great sadness about that incident last year.
Silence.
Stop this nonsensical scrutiny of feelings. Just present evidence to prove your point.
Boss, do we have any kind of evidence that would back us up here?
There is one piece that comes to mind that might explain his sadness. Well, I'm waiting. Let's see this evidence that has to do with Marlon Ryan's sadness. Torpedo data... Azura Summers' boyfriend. Oh, that's right. We were assuming that was it yesterday or was it the court day before that Marlon was Azura's boyfriend. Take that. Azura Summers died an accidental death 1 year ago. This is her boyfriend's charm. Hey, what are you doing with that charm? It was found in Rifle's stomach yesterday. Judging by your reaction, I believe this charm belongs to you. I guess I need to push him just a little harder to make him admit it. When Mr. Rhymes said the word charm, he was very rattled. We better examine this charm a little more. Good idea. Let's look inside it. Huh? What's this? A photograph? Ooh. Hey, this is... Azura Summers and Marlon Rhymes. Mr. Rhymes, you and Azura Summers were a couple, weren't you? So what if we were a couple? It doesn't have anything to do with the captain's case. You believe you saw the orca kill your girlfriend. That's the cause of your sadness. Isn't that emotion of yours connected to the current case?
Silence.
The only thing you revealed was the witness's relationship with the victim a year ago. What does the witness's past have to do with the case at hand? I don't know yet.
But we managed to pinpoint the source of his sadness. Now let's delve into who Mr. Rhymes is angry at. Alright. In the show pool, the orca shot the captain in the air. Okay, so the water. Okay, info update. That's out of the picture, so that makes sense now. All Sasha did was move the body. She was trying to protect the orca. When Mr. Plume witnessed the orca finding the body, I freaked. Finding the body? He's chewing on her in this scene. Got it! That doesn't make sense. Mr. Rhymes, you're angry with Orla, aren't you? Angry at an orca? Why would I be? If you think I have some reason to be mad, then show me some proof. Do I have proof that Mr. Rhymes has a reason to be mad? Sure, why not? I bet that evidence we just took a look at would come in handy here. This charm indicates that you are Azura Summers' boyfriend. I'm sure you believe Orla killed your girlfriend a year ago. You lost your girlfriend and so you've been angry at Orla. Ugh. Alright, I'll admit it. I'll never forgive that orca. Azura's dead and that orca is still swimming around happy as a clam. I became an animal keeper just so I could prove that orca is a killer. You're right, I want that orca to pay.
There, do you feel good dragging up a person's past? But it still doesn't change anything. 30%, alright. Ah, he's right.
I disagree. It does change things. His out-of-control emotion quieted down. Now we should be able to find out the truth behind that emotion. Okay. So it's probably going to be that statement since we found that on that statement. Under the water. So remember clearly. Okay. Finding the body, I freaked. Okay. I would think he would be surprised if he freaked out about it. Got it! When Mr. Plume witnessed the orca finding the body, you freaked. What are you getting at? With Mr. Plume as a witness, Orla was guaranteed to be accused of the murder. Didn't it work out exactly as you'd hoped? In order to have Orla put down, you made sure Mr. Plume witnessed that scene. That's a really creepy picture of him. Alright. Sweet. So you figured all that out, did you?
Mr. Rhymes, are you admitting it?
I didn't really want to have to fight anybody but the orca. But you leave me no choice. Oh my God! What? Now it's time to get serious. Ahoy! Whoa, what? Yo, 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 ho! Ahoy, me brothers represent. I've asked you, Grassy, to stay free. 10 me words and pop in your mouth. Scurvy Grassy to yield to me beat. Yo, 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 ho, ho! Bro, I'm ready for the showdown.
What is going on? Where did this pirate fellow come from?
He looks like a completely different person. Holy crap.
Order! If we don't have order, Prosecutor Blackwell will yell at us.
Even Prosecutor Blackwell is at a loss for words. So I plan to have that wench be a witness. Aw, you caught me out. If it be true I thought that orca's murderous way should be found out. That'd be why I schemed to have the Plume see the body. So you admit it. You deliberately framed Orla. It'd be true, but what skin be that off of anybody's nose? That orca be a murdering scurvy dog. I may have a grudge against that orca, but I always felt grateful towards the captain. The orca murdered Azuri and the captain, so of course she would walk the plank. She should walk the plank. I don't have a response to that. I agree it wouldn't make any sense for him to kill the owner. Why would he? But his hatred for Orla, on the other hand, comes through loud and clear. Wait a minute. Killing Mr. Shipley doesn't make sense. Who would it make sense for, Rhymes, to kill? Maybe my theory has been all wrong. Your Honor, I think I just became aware of a new fact.
Oh, and what is that?
Now that we know about Mr. Rhymes' intense hatred of Orla, it turns the premise we've been arguing under on its ear. I will now reveal the identity of the individual Mr. Rhymes meant to kill from the start. Time to present Orla. Take that!
What? So the witness's intent was to kill the orca?
Exactly. The witness's intended victim was not Jack Shipley. From the start, it was all a scheme to kill Orla.
The orca was his true target, but Jack Shipley's the one who died. The orca is alive and quite well.
He's right. He wanted to kill the orca, and yet it was Jack Shipley who fell to his death. How did that happen? Wait a minute. What if Mr. Rhymes wanting to kill Orla was somehow connected to Mr. Shipley's death?
At a loss for words, are you? What happened to your bravado of a moment ago? Enough of these reckless words without any basis in fact.
Objection!
They aren't reckless words. The basis for my claim is at the real murder scene, the show pool.
What are you talking about?
It's my contention that two incidents happened at the show pool. The attempted murder of the orca and the victim falling to his death. First of all, in order to kill the orca, Mr. Rhymes removed something from the scene. And by so doing, he made it possible for Mr. Shipley to fall to his death.
What did he remove? This is what Mr. Rhymes removed in an attempt to kill Orla.
He removed an attempt to kill Orla. Well, he used the hoist to drain the... Well, he used the crane to drain the water, didn't he? Or the machine, I should say. Take that!
Don't tell me you're trying to claim you tried to kill the orca by draining the pool water.
That's exactly what I'm claiming. To help the defendant with the cleaning, Marlon Rhymes took charge of Orla, with the plan to kill Orla in the show pool. And because the pool water was drained, it made it possible for Jack Shipley to fall to his death in the show pool. That's a big thing. I tried to kill the orca, you say? Can you even prove there was nary a drop of water in the pool? That day I was simply looking after the orca. Why would I have the monstrous thought of killing it?
Objection!
You claim you were looking after Orla in the early morning hours of July 20th, but I don't think you were doing a very good job of it. After all, Orla wasn't given anything to eat during that time. How would she know such a thing? I know because of Orla's record here in the torpedo data system. This system continuously records data on the subjects it monitors. From Orla's record, we can tell exactly when she ate or didn't eat. Sing me, nobody ever told me about that dastardly contraption. Only a few of the ship-shaped aquarium staff know about this system. According to Orla's record, she never ate in those early morning hours of the 20th. You planned to kill Orla, and that's why you didn't feed her. You're wasting time. What proof do you have of that? Perhaps the orca simply wasn't hungry. He's right. I don't have any proof. If Orla simply didn't eat, then that would create an inconsistency. Where did her fish go? Her fish? Good question. Where did it disappear to?
Fish? What does it matter? What relevance does it have to the case? Cease this stalling by asking inconsequential questions. Stop delving into the depths of the orca's stomach and delve into the case instead.
But wait, it may seem like a small inconsistency, but it's an issue of great importance, I think.
What are you driving at, Mr. Wright?
How could the fish disappear? Somebody must have eaten it. So who came to the show stage and ate Orla's fish? I think I might have a pretty good idea. I believe there must have been a visitor to the show stage that Mr. Rhymes didn't notice.
Visitor? Are you trying to introduce yet another suspect at this 11th hour? If you utter more of your careless remarks, Taka won't look favorably upon it.
I don't plan to utter any careless remarks. Whether my remarks will actually be related to the case or not, I don't yet know. Don't worry, boss. If Taka comes this way, I'll fend him off. But do try to keep your remarks careful. Somehow, Orla's fish disappeared. Somebody must have visited the show stage, but who? This was the visitor to the show stage. Sasha Buckler, Herman Crab, or Rifle? Well, Rifle does like fish. I believe Rifle the Penguin visited the show stage.
First an orca, now a penguin?
Why would you be saying such a thing, Mr. Lawyer? I didn't see Rifle during the wee early morning hours. Do you have any proof Rifle visited the show stage? If you be a lawyer of any salt, show me your evidence. The bottom of Rifle's feet were pink for some reason. That fact is a clue that Rifle was indeed at the show stage. I have to present that piece of evidence that connects Rifle to the show stage. Now to prove I'm a lawyer worth my salt. This is the proof that Rifle visited the show stage. Torpedo data, no. Charm, no. Ladder prints, that was from Rhymes. Handmade sign, been left to dry since the early hours of the 20th. Oh, on the sign on the top left, there's penguin footprints. Take that!
Oh my, what a cute little sign. Look at all of those adorable stars.
These stars are actually starfish. Miss Buckler painted this sign. In the early morning hours of the 20th, she left this sign at the show stage to dry. Mr. Rhymes kept an eye on the sign for Miss Buckler while the paint was drying. Aye, that be true, but what be your point? On this sign is proof that Rifle visited the show stage.
Proof of the penguin's visit? I'm afraid I don't see it. Where is this proof that the penguin visited the show stage? Please point it out.
Right up here. Take that! A couple of the pink starfish are shaped a little differently from the others.
Oh, you're right. They look almost like little leaves.
Rifle had pink paint on the bottom of her feet. These little leaf-like shapes on this sign are actually Rifle's footprints. Rifle made these footprints by walking on the sign before it was dry.
Oh, what cute little pink penguin prints.
So there are footprints. What of them? Marlon Rhymes was watching over this sign at the show stage while the paint dried, and during that time, the penguin paid a visit. According to the torpedo data system, we know that Rifle ate something that morning of the 20th. Most likely, Rifle ate the fish meant for Orla that was at the show stage. Orla's snack was a small quantity of fish. Even a penguin could have eaten it at all. Begad, Rifle ate Orla's fish? Who be ye to say Rifle ate Orla's fish? She could have picked up food anywhere. But that doesn't change the fact that I really was at the show stage. After all, I had to help move the skull rock. It couldn't have been moved without me.
The witness claims he never saw the penguin. How do you explain this contradiction?
Both Mr. Rhymes and Rifle were at the show stage, but Mr. Rhymes didn't see her. So where could Mr. Rhymes have been at the time?
Right, Dono. If you aren't up to task, I can disprove this witness's testimony for you.
If I leave it to Prosecutor Blackwell, Sasha will be declared guilty. I can't let him interrupt this line of reasoning. Mr. Wright, let's try to figure out how things looked when Rifle came to the show stage. Mr. Rhymes was at the show stage keeping an eye on Orla and the sign. And we know it must be true because he helped move the skull rock. And then Rifle came in and walked over the sign. But would Mr. Rhymes notice Rifle if he was right there? Well, let's think about where Mr. Rhymes could have been. Is there a place in the show stage area from which Rifle couldn't have been seen? Well, leaning back to the ladder, that's where his fingerprints were. Take that! Do you really think he was there? That doesn't seem right to me somehow. Now that you mention it, maybe you're right. Come on, Mr. Wright. What? Wait, what? What are you talking about? Do I have to be more concise? Or is that just not the right one? Take that! Come on. There we go. What? Inside the pool? But you're right. If he was inside the pool, he wouldn't have noticed Rifle. So are you saying Mr. Rhymes was underwater the whole time Rifle was eating? No, not underwater. When I think about what he was trying to do, the answer is clear. Now I'm finally starting to get the whole picture.
Just like yesterday. Must you two always be whispering to each other? Why don't you admit that resorting to a penguin will get you nowhere?
Objection!
Oh, I don't know about that. The fact that Mr. Rhymes didn't notice Rifle is such a small inconsistency. But it's a key point that proves what Mr. Rhymes was trying to do.
The penguin is a key point.
The show stage pool is very deep. If Rifle came to visit while Mr. Rhymes was at the bottom of this pool, he would have never noticed Rifle. Orcas can be out of the water for a short time without sustaining damage. But if they're out of the water for a long time, they weaken and eventually die. In order to kill Orla, Mr. Rhymes had to drain the pool. And while the pool was drained of water, Mr. Shipley fell to his death. The show stage pool is about 65 feet deep, just like the Orca pool. Without water in the pool, a person could be made to fall 65 feet. Mr. Rhymes probably wondered what to do. If he continued with his plan to kill Orla, how would he dispose of Mr. Shipley's body? So he devised a plan to kill two birds with one stone.
What? How?
Mr. Rhymes went down to the bottom of the pool and put the victim's body in the rock. He then had Miss Buckland move the rock and the body together.
Silence!
And the witness made the defendant do this somehow without arousing of suspicion?
That's right. Mr. Shipley told Miss Buckler that she couldn't perform in the new show. Miss Buckler became upset and wanted to switch back to the old version of the show. So Mr. Rhymes conveniently suggested that she take and hide a prop for the new show. Mr. Rhymes then manipulated Orla using her singing and lifesaver tricks. He schemed to have Orla find the body while Mr. Plume would be standing witness. He saddled Orla with the false charge of murder so that Orla would be put down.
What? So the fact that the witness didn't see the penguin
shows that when Rifle visited the show stage, Rhymes was putting the body in the rock. At the bottom of the pool, that is.
Who would have thought the presence of a penguin could prove the witness's actions?
It's working. Just a little further now and Sasha will be proven not guilty.
Silence.
If you think you've won this battle, you are sorely mistaken. Your theory is based on the notion that the witness can manipulate the orca. Witness, can you control the orca's actions?
Of course not. What kind of bilge be that? I be but a simple animal keeper.
If my memory serves, wasn't Miss Buckler the only one who could issue commands to the orca? The judge's blade is sharper than the lawyer's. If you wish to do battle with a witness, you'll need a honed blade. Where is your sword of evidence that Marlon Rhymes could manipulate the orca?
My hair. Rhymes had to have manipulated Orla in order for his plan to work. But how can I prove it?
Well, it appears this line of reasoning has become unsustainable. Well, it appears that I was mistaken.
Athena? I've analyzed the hearts of all kinds of people. I have enough experience to see when I look into your heart that you haven't given up. So that objection was my way of speaking up for your heart. She's right. Why would I become a lawyer again, only to give up? I have to keep fighting. Athena, thank you. With your help, I've remembered the old right way. The right way? That's right. Your Honor, I'm not finished with presenting my argument.
Do you have anything else to ask this witness?
You've cross-examined all the witnesses and presented all your evidence.
Objection!
All the witnesses? I don't think so. I haven't cross-examined the most important one, the central figure in both cases. Jeez, this is going to be Orla. Just watch.
The central figure?
The one involved in not only the case a year ago, but this current case too. I've never called her as a witness, but it's time to do so now.
Who are you talking about? I demand you tell the court immediately. Who is this central figure in both cases?
Take that! The defense calls the central figure in both cases Orla the Orca.
You intend to cross-examine an orca?
Cross-examine an orca? You must be addled. It'd be impossible, says I.
Silence.
This absurdity is beyond the pale. How do you expect to question an orca, a creature incapable of speech?
Objection!
Orla is intricately involved in this case. I have every right to cross-examine her. Besides, even if she can't speak, I think cross-examining her will be invaluable.
Very well, do what you will then. But if you fail to garner anything from this little exercise with the orca, I hope you realize the reward for your efforts will be the defendant's guilty verdict.
I'm ready and confident. So, cross-examining Orla, huh? That was a bold move, boss. Now all we have to do is figure out how Mr. Rhymes manipulated Orla.
That's right.
Now it's Orla's turn to help us save Sasha.
An orca defendant yesterday, and an orca witness today. This is truly unprecedented. But even though this is highly unusual, I'm prepared to allow it. Bailiff, ready the witness telecast. We'll have a 10-minute recess while the telecast is being set up.
Oh boy. This should be interesting. Oh man. Alright, I'm gonna finish this today. Because I want to get this uploaded before we start 25 Days of Christmas. So, stay tuned for the final part of the DLC case of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. Coming up next. Objection!